what is this song? I really like it. It's hard for me to keep the tears in, you know? Oh god, it's so good. Like, I'm not going to listen to this in the gym, am I? Welcome back. I feel like up until this point, I haven't been entirely honest with you about the music that I listen to. Obviously, the premise of this channel has largely been, you know, heavy music, good, the name's in the title. I don't want anyone to be under the impression that I am just purely this meathead that only listens to heavy music all the time. Don't get me wrong, that is largely what I listen to. But there are some mellow albums that I do really, really love. Like 95% of what I listen to is stupid, dumb, meathead music. Sure. But there are some albums that are absolutely not heavy at all that I do feel passionate about. Varying different types of music. I would like to come out, I guess, as someone who does have quite a varied taste in music. I just really enjoy talking about heavy music, right? But I would like to share with you all some albums that I think are beautiful and very, very, very different to anything I've ever spoken about on this channel before. Now, the list I have is fairly extensive, and I would like to go into a certain level of depth with each of these albums. But I don't want to make a 2-hour long video on a bunch of albums that maybe you don't even care about. So I've decided to split it up into 3 albums per video. Okay? If no one cares, if this video does nothing, then I'm not going to bother continuing, because I assume you're here for heavy music, right? That would make sense. I'm not assuming that you're interested in mellow music at all. So this is going to be 3 albums that I really enjoy, that I guess you may be surprised to realize that I enjoy. Hopefully this will be a discovery for you as well, because I'm talking about Britney Spears or something. These are relatively obscure artists, but absolute gems in my opinion. I like to think that people that are into heavy music do also appreciate other things, because I feel like you've got to be a pretty open-minded person to be into cattle decapitation. Long story short, let's get into these albums. So the first of these is an album called Based on a True Story by Fat Freddy's Drop. This album couldn't sound any more different to everything I've spoken about on this channel so far. There's a lot of nostalgia with this album. In fact, there's a lot of nostalgia with pretty much all of these. I hope after what you've heard, you're on board, because I'm going to talk for a little while about this, okay? This album reminds me of a particular time in my life when I was working in this pub in the UK, this little pub, and when I started working in this pub is when I discovered this album, or when I really started listening to this album, because I had free reign over the sound system, right? And it was the middle of winter, and for once in the UK it was actually snowy. And we had a fireplace. It was a super old pub, and it had a fireplace. And so the sound of this album makes me think of like sitting around a fire and having a pint. It's a complete other lifetime ago for me. It's so powerful, this album, that it very quickly and easily makes me forget where I am in the world and what's going on in my life currently. And I'm straight back in the UK, in this tiny pub, pulling pints, being a reprobate. But in my work time, this album followed me around, and it's so beautiful.
We can only watch and learn. Don't let your
guy's voice in Fat Freddy's Drop is one of the most beautiful sounding voices I have ever heard. And the instrumentation in it, everything, this whole album is just sheer beauty.
There's something natural in the way you touch me. Yeah. Don't you say that it's all the same. Yeah. Don't you say I lose myself in you. Yeah, I lose
And very, very creative. It mashes together so many different types of music. Obviously, it's very reggae based, but in terms of mood, it goes up and down and up and down. There's points on this album that make me want to cry. Not because it's so sad, but just because it's so beautiful. It's hard for me to keep the tears in, you know? I don't listen to this album very often. As you know of me, I'm a meathead. I like stupid 9-string guitar, chug, double pedal, bleh. That's my thing, right? That's my main thing. But when I need this album, which is not often, like, I'm not going to listen to this in the gym, am I? It's hard to put into words how I feel about this album. It's a time machine, this album. I think that's a good way of putting it. Is because of what I previously mentioned about it reminding me of when I worked in this pub. If I want to just shut out the world and what's going on in my life right now, I can just put this on in my headphones and close my eyes, and I'm immediately back there in 2010 or 11 or something. I'm hoping that the clips that I'm putting in this video do it justice. There's not many songs on this album. I think there's less than 10. I've not got it in front of me. I'm just talking. I haven't got any point of reference. But I feel like there's like 10 songs. Each are very long. And there's such a journey throughout each song. Like, they, for the most part, all start off with like nothing, and then they gradually become this beautiful composition. And like I said, the guy's voice, oh god, it's so good. If you've liked what you've heard so far, it's all great. It's all good. There's a couple of songs for me that really stand out. K's Craze.
I question my loyalties. Do I try to work it out? I belong and I know when I reach that place. The rock in my life, I'm telling you, this can't be the rock in my life.
And Dark Days.
Learning to breathe again for the first time. Learning to speak again from my heart. Testing the air outside.
Man, that pulls on my heartstrings, that song. Go listen to this album, please. This next one is by an artist called Imogen Heap. And the album is called Speak for Yourself.
Distant flickering, screen of scenery, I swear that's bringing it all back. Used to teenage star, got your heart in a halo. In a halo. You know you're better than this.
Now again, in terms of nostalgia, this one is probably even more nostalgic than Based on a True Story, because this one reminds me of the first weeks of me living in the UK, because the people that I moved in with, who were friends of mine from Spain, they were listening to this album all the time. And at that time I was even more of a dumb meathead. I was in late teens, early 20s. I was an idiot, right? Still am an idiot, but even more of an idiot then. And I was like, what is this? This is like plinkety plonkety girly, like makeup shop music. Because it was played often, and not like over and over and over again, but I kept hearing like bits of songs here and there. It started working for me.
Skipping beats, blushing cheeks, I'm struggling. It's so cute, it's impossible to ignore you. Flicking through the TV, relaxed and reclining.
There's bits in this album that are like unbelievable. Like, genuinely unbelievable how just one person, I'm assuming Imogen Heap is a solo artist, I think. Again, I don't have Wikipedia in front of me. This is just me going on what I sort of know and my gut feeling of these albums. But she is an amazing creator of music.
That time of year, leave all our hopelessnesses aside. How did you know? That's what I always wanted. Sharp, remove it, pour me another. Oh, don't work your finger.
Not only does she make very original music, kind of similar. I've always heard her as sort of the UK equivalent of Bjork, who I also really like. But she's like created her own musical instruments with like these VR, not VR gloves, but like gloves that react. Like you can play stuff as you move your fingers in the air.
So I'm moving around the scale by going up and down. Down there goes down a fifth, or down a fourth. And then I can change the filter like that. And I can go between different sounds by going up and down using the pitch. This is what we call pitch. This is what we call yaw. This is what we call roll. And when my finger is doing this posture, which is called one finger point, it changes to a different sound. And when my hand's open, it's moving that sound.
She's a genius and underrated as hell. She is so creative, and again, this is an album that there are moments in it where it brings tears to my eyes because it's so beautiful, it's so powerful.
Where are we? Just began to fall. Oily marks appear that take over the sweep. Just say, oh, that you only meant when.
Because I don't listen to it all the time, every time I do listen to it, I'm like, whoa, why have I not listened to this for so long? You know, it's one of those. The same with Based on a True Story. Like there's a time and a place for these albums. And when that time and place is there, it's just perfect. It's so perfect.
Paper cuts, the cheating lovers, the coffee's never strong enough. There, baby, it's just textbook stuff.
Speak for Yourself is. There's so many different little bits here and there. There's like electronic beats, and then there's a song without anything apart from her voice. Like there's so much variety on this thing. And none of it's bad, none of it's boring. There's no skippers on either of these so far, by the way. This is one thing about a lot of these albums, not all of them, but a lot of them that I want to talk about, these mellow albums, is that they're like one album by this artist that I really think is good. And then maybe the one before and the one after, I'm like, yeah. But this specific one that I want to mention to you is the one that's worth your time, I think. Speak for Yourself is insanely good. I can't really put it any other way. Again, I hope the clips that I put in this video will illustrate that for you. Okay, so the third one I want to speak about is probably the most poppy one. And in terms of general audience, I don't know, actually. I was going to say, in terms of general audience, I think this will be the most off-putting. But that's because it's the most poppy. And pop music is, by definition, popular. Maybe to you lot watching, this will be the most off-putting. Let me put it that way. Because you guys, I'm guessing, because you're following my channel, you're into some weird shit. And this is definitely the least esoteric, I guess, on of these three albums, which is On a Mission by Katy B.
Can't hide my glee. Now you're in front of me. Face says you're here and on one. Ooh, does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel good? 'Cause that's the only way I want you to feel with me.
This, what I was saying before about this being like one album, of an artist that I really enjoy, and I don't really care that much about the rest of it. This is a good example of that, because this was the peak of dubstep happening, and at the time I'd never really, just me personally, I'd never really heard dubstep made into like pop music. It was very aggro and weird, and a lot of dub, obviously, and like reggae influences and stuff, but I never really heard it used in pop music. And this was the first time I did, and the first single I heard was this.
But he doesn't, he blocks my way. I try to push past, but he wants to play. Oh, when we erupt into the room and hear the...
And it was really popular at the time, and I kept hearing it, whether it was like coming out of someone's car or someone would play it around my place or something. Like, I kept hearing the song and I'm like, what is this song? I really like it.
Feeling easy to resume. This right here, I swear will end too soon.
Like, it was infectious in the way pop music basically is, and it worked on me, because I'm into this dubstep thing right now. I'm on that train. I don't have aversions to female vocals in electronic music. In fact, I quite like it. And so it kept catching my ear, and I'm like, what is this? And then someone told me the album, and I looked it up and I listened to it.
I keep on moving with the lights on, with the lights on. Stepping out the club, man, never come a turn and them watch me. And even when they do it so hard for me to, you'll have to come and move me if you want me out of here.
Over and over and over and over again. I couldn't get enough of On a Mission. It was so just perfect at the time.
I would toss and turn at night with your voice in my head. And when I finally fall asleep, you find your way to me. And I know that we make mistakes.
If you just pop music automatically bad, then this is not going to work for you, right? I'm not like that. In fact, I think like pop music from the late 90s, early 2000s, compared to what we have today, was actually pretty decent. And then in the around 2010s, it was less decent, but I like dubstep. And so if you combine a pop sensibility with the energy of dubstep, that could work. And honestly, it did for me. It was like this was the one dubstep album that she made with who was it? With it Scream and Benga, I think, with the producers. Yeah, really solid. If you're not averse to pop music just because, then give it a try. You might like it. So those are my first 3 non-heavy albums. Again, if this video does nothing, then I probably won't bother doing anymore. But if you are intrigued to hear more of my list, and trust me, there's a lot more, let me know, and then I'll keep making some like this, because I don't want to just be the dumb heavy music guy. I have a wide taste in music. I just really enjoy talking about heavy music, and I don't want to be pigeonholed as anything really. So let me know what you thought. I've still not thought of how to end videos yet though, so I'm just gonna say, go away.